Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage to talk about something serious that I think we need to address. Now, this is going to deal with some current circumstances with natural disasters, more specifically the Category 5 Hurricane Milton, which is about to hit the coast of Florida. And I've noticed on the NFA Facebook groups and the Reddit forums that some people are asking, I think, some very valid questions regarding the transportation of NFA items. Now, I'm going to tell you what I know and tell you what I would personally do, but I have to give you the caveat that I am not an attorney, and nothing I say in this video should be construed as legal advice. Because I don't want you to get in trouble and say, hey, Jason from the Texas Gun Vault said that. This is not legal advice, okay? We're just sitting here talking about what we know and I guess we're going to say what is legal and then what is practical, okay? So let's talk about a couple things first. The first thing is, not every item that is regulated by the National Firearms Act requires you to have paperwork and notify the ATF that you are transporting them across state lines. The two items that do not fall into this category are suppressors and any other weapons. So if you have a silencer, a pin gun, a cane gun, anything that is an AOW, you don't have to notify the ATF as long as you are going to a jurisdiction where those items are legal. And if you don't believe me, you can look at the bottom of your Form 4, and I believe there's also some other documentation online where it says you don't have to notify them of that. So they don't care about those items, okay? I know there's going to be people in the comment section that say, it's all a trap. Oh my God, they're creating a hurricane so they can get NFA people. They're going to come kill you and your dog. I know there's always those people, okay? But do not take anything I say as fact. Go do your own research, and you will see a number of places cite that if you have silencers and AOWs, you don't have to notify the ATF. But now when it comes to machine guns, short-barreled shotguns, short-barreled rifles, and destructive devices, you are legally required to fill out an ATF Form 20 if you're going to cross state lines. And I know a lot of people that are evacuating some of these states where these natural disasters are happening will be crossing state lines. So let's talk about legally what you should do and maybe what the ATF wants you to do, and then practically what's going to happen on the back end of things, okay? So let's talk about what the ATF most likely does not want to happen, okay? And that is your NFA items that are highly regulated get into the hands of people that should not have them, i.e. looters, okay? So if you have to leave your home, let's say you're living in Florida, Category 5 hurricanes coming, barreling down, could destroy your home, okay? The last thing the ATF wants is these things floating around and getting in the hands of people that should not have them. So most likely, they would rather them be in your possession because you're the legal owner of them, have filled out the paperwork and have paid the tax stamp on them. They would rather them be in your hands than to be in the hands of people that should not have them, okay? And this paperwork, the ATF Form 20, takes about a week to 2 weeks for them to process, okay? So if this natural disaster is happening tomorrow, there's no time for you to fill out the paperwork and legally get it done. But because of these circumstances, most likely the ATF will not prosecute you or go after you because you are trying to be a responsible person with your firearm. Now, if you are going to travel out of state, I would recommend all of your guns, okay? Transport them like you would be if you're traveling through, let's say, New York, okay? Put all the firearms in locked containers, separate from the ammunition, separate from the magazines, okay? To show that you are trying to be as compliant as possible, okay? The other thing you can do if you have time is to fill out the ATF Form 20s, and you can hand write them, okay? Hand fill them out, and you scan them, and you email them to, I believe the email address is nfafax@atf.gov. I'd have to double check that. And in the box where it says, why do you want to transport these items, just put natural disaster or mandatory evacuation. It's my understanding that they might expedite those, and they just, I don't know if they email them back or mail them to you, but you've kind of covered your bases essentially. And as long as you do that, you should be okay. There's not going to be any ATF checkpoints as you cross state lines, as people are evacuating, stopping all the cars going, do you have any silencers in here? Let's double check. They're not going to be doing that, okay? So it's better that you keep possession of your weapons that are registered to you than have them potentially get in the hands of looters. And as somebody said, even if this is wrong, okay, it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission, because it's going to take you so long to get this, and potentially you could lose them all, or they could get in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. And then in some ways, you could be held responsible. So think about that as well. It's also my understanding that at some point in the past, the ATF issued an opinion letter regarding this. I was unable to find it, and maybe somebody here has a copy of that letter or knows where it is, regarding exigent circumstances with natural disasters and NFA firearms. And essentially, the ATF said, try to fill out the paperwork if you can, but if you can't, take them with you. Essentially saying that it's not like an amnesty or anything like that. It's like they're not going to come after you, okay? It's a special circumstance. Now, if there's not a natural disaster, don't do it. But if there's a natural disaster where you have a forced evacuation and it's a temporary thing, you're going from, Florida to Georgia, and you're to stay in someone's house for a couple of days and you're coming back, take them with you to ensure that these do not get taken, that they remain in your possession. That's so important. So I believe that common sense has to prevail here. So if you're one of those people that really worries about this, the best thing you could do is, if we can find that letter, and if somebody can post a link to it in the comment section, that'd be great. You can print that off. But also, there's not going to be any ATF checkpoints, okay? Use common sense, and if you were stopped with one of these and some law enforcement officer cared, you can be like, listen, I'm trying to be responsible with my firearms. I don't want these in the hands of looters. I don't know if I'll be back to my house anytime soon. I don't know if my house will get destroyed. So it's better that these remain in my possession because I'm the registrant and they're safe with me, versus somebody that should not have them. I really don't think any reasonable or logical prosecutor or ATF agent would come after you for trying to be responsible with your NFA regulated items during a time of disaster, okay? And I also believe that judges would take these circumstances into consideration if it even got that far, which I guarantee you it wouldn't. My suggestion is just, put these in a lockbox separate from the ammunition and the magazines, lock the cases, and just don't have them out, okay? Just put them with your other stuff. Don't talk about them. Get them out of Dodge, and then when everything's over, just get them back. And if you can, fill out the ATF Form 20s, okay? So you can cover your bases, try to fill those out in time, email them to them, say, I'm getting out of Dodge because of a natural disaster. I'm pretty sure you've covered your bases there. And I do think that people that are rational, logical, reasonable, they're not going to care, okay? Law enforcement's not going to be looking for NFA items. The ATF's not going to have checkpoints, okay? Just keep them safe, keep them in your possession, put them in locked boxes, and get out of Dodge so these do not end up in the hands of looters. Now, as I said, if you own an AOW or a silencer, you don't have to worry about that. You can double check me, look online, look at your Form 1s, your Form 4s. I believe it says it on those, and maybe even the Form 20s, okay? It says that this form is only required for short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, machine guns, and destructive devices. So that's what I would suggest. So if you're affected by any natural disaster where you don't have time to fill out forms and you're going across state lines, that is what I would recommend doing. Now, as I said, I am not an attorney, okay? Nothing I say should be construed as legal advice. If you have any questions about this, if you have the opportunity to talk to a lawyer, do that. I also recommend you go do your own research. And as I said, if anybody can find a copy of that opinion letter where the ATF addresses that, or if it's on their webpage, there might be, because I know there's a page that they have which deals with transporting items, and there might be a paragraph that talks about that. But Do your own research, okay? But use common sense, be reasonable, and most importantly, be responsible with your guns to ensure that these NFA regulated items do not end up in the hands of people that should not have them, like looters. Or if your house is destroyed, if these are just like floating down the street, right? Because your safe got, flooded out, knocked over, and people break into it, and you can't get back to your house for 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks. You don't want these in the hands of people that could do a lot of harm, okay? So be responsible, be reasonable, be logical, and don't make a big deal about it, okay? If you don't talk about it, I always tell people, don't ask, don't tell, okay? So if you have an SBR and you take it, you don't have time to fill out the paperwork, don't ask, don't tell, okay? If somebody stops you and says, hey, don't be like, I have an SBR in the car, I have an SBR car, just don't talk about it. Just don't talk about it. And most likely they'd be like, hey, you evacuating? Yeah, you want to go down this way, down here. This is the direction. No one's going to care. Okay? That's my personal opinion. Be reasonable, rational, logical about it, and everything would be okay. But that's what you should do when it comes to NFA items. Fill out the paperwork if you can. Put down natural disaster as the reason. But also understand that due to exigent and special circumstances, you're probably not going to get in trouble. No one's going to come after you, and no one's going to care because they have bigger fish to fry. And they're going to be very thankful that you were responsible in taking care of your own NFA items to ensure they remain safely in your possession and in your control. So I really feel bad for all of the people out there that are being affected by these natural disasters. And as a responsible gun owner, this is stuff that we have to think about. But there you go. If anybody else has any advice or any links to any other information that might be pertinent to people that are affected by natural disasters or what's going on in Florida right now, please post it as a link in the comment section below. And I hope this at least gave some people some thought to do their own research and to ask themselves some important questions regarding their firearms if they own any NFA stuff. And I guess to a lesser degree, if you own regular Title I firearms, regular pistols, revolvers, shotguns, rifles, whatever. Because we always have to have a plan, right? Always have a plan. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I pray for the safety and the health of everybody involved. And I hope nobody loses anything and no lives are lost, of course. So that's all we can hope for. So there's not going to be a word of the day today because this is a serious topic, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And please add any information you think is important for others to know as well. So, as always, thanks for watching.